Hello, friends. Welcome back to Movie Community College.
Suprapat, Namaste, Mirnam, Professor Hay, Apsi Milker, Hushiway.
Mirnam Tishay.
Tanyavad for watching, and we have a movie review.
We do.
We have a movie review, Raazi, starring Alia, Bhatt.
And Vicky Kaushal.
And we have seen several movies with Vicky, and he's on one side, and then he's on the other.
Yes.
He's for India, he's for Pakistan.
Right. I prefer him in Uri. Yes. However,
he was good in this.
He was very good. He is such a good actor. I'm very impressed with his acting abilities.
Very good actor.
So, Raazi is based on a book called Calling Semat. We don't really know what her real name is, but the movie also calls her Semat because it's based on the book.
Mm-hmm.
Based in 1971, during the height of the Indo-Pak tensions in 1971. And this movie gets a 7.8 out of 10 on IMDb. I think it should have been higher than that. And so really it is the story of a young woman who's 20 years old, whose father, who played Modi in Uri, now he's playing her father in this film. Her father is dying, and he is a spy.
He is. He's a double agent.
And he is a double agent, and they live in Kashmir, and he wants her basically to take his place. Because he knows he's only got a few months to live. Sounds like he's got stomach cancer, probably. And so he is basically trying to set up how he's going to get her to take his place. Initially, he intimates that he's just going to tell her she has to do it. And the question is posed to him, well, were you asked, basically? Were you given a choice? And not in so many words, that's how it was put to him. And he basically says, what choice was I given? My father just told me this is what I'm going to do, so I'm going to tell her this is what she's supposed to do. So we see a brief little scene with her. She's away at college.
Yes.
And it appears that she is a very tender young girl, and she has a lot of compassion. She sees somebody about to run over a squirrel, and she goes and saves the squirrel.
We paused the movie at that point.
Yes.
To talk about how different squirrels look in India as opposed to America.
Yes. And not only that, but in America, you would have a fat chance of catching a squirrel because they run from people. So in any case, she catches this squirrel, but in the process, she's unaware that she has injured herself because she's so singularly focused on saving the squirrel's life. We also learn in college that she has quite the propensity for remembering numbers.
She has a photographic memory.
When it comes to numbers, she's super fine at that. So she eventually gets a phone call that she needs to come home because Dad needs her at home. So she comes home and she's like, oh, you worried me, and Mom doesn't look good. And she notices that Mom doesn't look good because he's just broken the news to Mom that he's going to die. And so now he tells Semat that he's going to die, and of course she's very upset. And then he breaks the news to her that
I'm a spy.
I'm a spy, and
you're going to take my place.
You're going to take my place.
I've arranged for a marriage with the Pakistani general's son. Right.
And she initially does not look all that happy about this. And so he goes to her at nighttime to tell her, I don't know what I was thinking. You know what? You shouldn't have to do this. I shouldn't have put you in this position. And she surprises him by saying, country above all else, and you did it, and I'm going to do it too. And so she starts her process of training.
And we see it was a really good sequence of seeing her being trained to be a spy.
Yeah.
And initially she asks her handler, do you think I can do this? He said, ask me in a month, ask me, or whatever the time period was, a month, 2 months, whatever. And we'll see.
And he's always doing little things.
Telling her, you got to be aware at all times.
Right. He'll trip her, he'll knock things out of her hands, he'll throw things at her head, and she's annoyed and irritated.
And it hits her in the head, and she's like, oh.
Right. She's crying at one point. And she's out there target practicing, and he's messing with her then. Because you have to. You've got to be prepared for every eventuality.
And he tells her, you need to have eyes in the back of your head.
Right.
Because you're going to be out there by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So,
have you ever seen a bad Alia Bhatt performance?
No, I've only seen her in a few things, though. But
Always
no,
outstanding.
I haven't seen her in a bad performance either. So her training goes well, and she gets married off to Iqbal,
Yes.
who is Vicky Kaushal.
Yes, and little do the Pakistanis realize that he's going to lead the Uri attacks, and what a mind blower that is.
Decades
One
later.
of their own come back and get
Decades
him.
later, right. And then he doesn't age at all. So, Vicky, I like you much better without the mustache. Yes. Make sure you shave the mustache.
I'm not a big fan of mustaches.
Yeah.
Beards,
I'm not either.
goatees,
Yeah.
soul patches,
No,
not mustaches.
no. So, in any case...
But his character is pretty tender towards the wife.
He is. I was going to point out. So it's on their wedding night, and they're in the room alone, and of course she's expecting that this is going to be when they're going to consummate the marriage, and he surprises her by saying, "Listen, this marriage was arranged. I don't know you. You don't know me.
Let's take our time.
Let's take our time and let's get to know each other. And I'm just going to sleep in this other part of the room." And he goes to kind of pull the curtain, and she's like, "Well, can you leave it open a little bit?" And that way they can still see each other. And so they're still in the same room. And thus begins a budding relationship. And
I think he's really in love with her.
he is really in love with her. And she's really in love with him. She comes to love him too. However, she knows that she has a job to do. So in the family, so there's mom and dad there, and then his brother and his wife are also living there, and they have a slew of different servants. And you'll periodically see little flashbacks where something will come to her that she learned during her training. And so she's cooking breakfast one morning, and it flashes back to her that her handler told her, don't try to flatter them, because they will be very suspicious of that. And she realizes too late as she's cooking this big spread of breakfast, and the servant comes in,
Yes.
who is also Indian.
Yes.
But he is very
Yes.
loyal to
And
his
he
Pakistani
doesn't
family.
trust her.
He does not trust her from the get-go. And he's like, "Do you even know what they like to eat? They like toast. They don't like this." And she's like, "Oh, okay," just trying to play it off. And the handlers had also told her, always have the newlywed smile on your face. So she's always kind of got this smile plastered on her face. And so she's going through the process of befriending people, getting them to trust her. She's gathering information. She's got the Morse code machine.
And it's always a crazy sequence because everybody's in one house.
Yeah.
And she's got to wait for a quiet moment to go
Right.
hook up her Morse code.
Yes, right.
And then send it
In
without
her
anybody
bathroom.
seeing it.
Right, exactly. She's getting a key made so she
Yeah.
can break into the father-in-law's office. Some of the scenes in this film were so suspenseful because
It made me uncomfortable.
it made me super uncomfortable. I was waiting for her to
physically
get caught.
uncomfortable. Like,
Yes.
come on, what are you doing? What
I
are you
know,
doing?
like this is the worst possible time for you to try to break into his office. But they've got this whole network of people, Indian spies, that are set up that she can go talk to in the village and in the markets and get the different things that she needs. And so the whole movie basically is her gathering information so she can get it back to her handlers, and of course speaking in code the whole time because telephones can be tapped and they're bugged, and she doesn't want to be, just speaking freely and letting them know what's going on. So she's able to communicate back and forth.
And one of the great things about where she's located is all the ISI meetings are happening in this house.
Initially.
So she bugs she's able to get the information and pass it on.
Initially. But then it moves to a different location, and she's like, how am I going to do this now? So her handlers consider pulling her out. She's like, no, I've got a plan. She's going to teach the child of kind of the head honcho over there where all the meetings are now taking place. She's going to teach his child how to sing so that way she has access to their home. And they're like, oh gosh.
And the kid can't sing.
Right, this is like a lost cause
The
because
fat
this
little
kid
kid
can't
is
sing.
like, I love my country.
But she teaches him.
Yeah, he does a
She
good job.
teaches him, and he's like one of the stars of the show. And
Now-
so the school gives their little play, and he sings beautifully.
During the process, the servant figures it out.
He's starting to figure it out.
And he runs for help.
Yes, because he has now figured out. He saw her Morse code machine.
Yes.
And she comes into the bathroom. Well, before we get to that, her dad dies. She's able to go back for the funeral. And while she's back there, she's able to talk to her handler. And so the handler does a phenomenal job, because at one point, when we get later on in the movie, after she's been found out, the handler actually comes to her home in Pakistan, posing as a Pakistani agent.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So that he can kind of maneuver how they're going to extricate her from this situation.
And what we don't realize that's starting to happen is ISI's been tapping this house.
The whole home, right.
And they have an idea of that communications are going. They don't know what's been said, but communications are going.
And she had,
she discovered an attack on Wyzag.
And once she had figured out that the servant was onto her, she chases him out of the house, okay? And he's running like right to ISI headquarters, so he can tell people what's going on. And she gets in a Jeep.
She runs him
and
over.
she hits him, and then she runs him over, but she does not kill him. So he survives, and he's in the hospital, and all he's trying to say is her name. He's just trying to say her name because her brother-in-law, who is also an officer, is there, and he's trying to tell him what happened. Yeah. So what she had done in the meantime, she had taken all the equipment and she shoved it in his room.
Make it look like he's
the agent. But when she's descending from the ladder, she slips. We've noticed a few times in the movie, she's kind of clumsy.
Yeah.
She slips, and the little ankle bracelet that her husband had given her, one of the pieces falls off, and she doesn't notice, and it's laying there on the floor. And so when everybody comes into the home to search and find out, hey, we know the communications have been going out from here, the servant has died, the brother, she kills the brother, remember, with the cyanide capsule that was in the umbrella? She kills the brother. They're trying to figure out what's going on. And her husband, Vicky, he looks down and he sees something. And I knew immediately she left something behind. So he's crushed because it's his wife. He actually loves her. And she loves him too. But she sees that he found that because she goes in the bedroom, she opens his wallet, and there's a picture of her, and on top of the picture, there's that little gold piece. And so she knows.
So she does what any good wife would do. She
grabs his gun.
Grabs his gun.
Because she knows where he stashes his gun. She grabs the gun, and when he opens the door, she's pointing that pistol at him. The revolver, I should say.
They have this great exchange.
Right.
A great exchange.
Where he's going to rush her. He's going to rush her and grab that gun.
But a child walks in, and it happens to be the general's child that she taught to sing.
Yes.
And she kind of does a thing with the gun and grabs him.
Yes.
So the child's unaware. And now she's got a hostage. Right. She's got a hostage, dude.
Right. And now he doesn't know, will she kill him? He doesn't know.
Don't know.
So they take off because this is her plan to get to the marketplace so that she can be extracted. And so then Vicky gets there, and
ISI gets there.
Yes, and
the extraction
her
team
handlers
gets there.
get there, and there's a whole little scene of kind of double play that we don't see the full part of it until
But there's
until
a
later.
decoy.
There's a decoy.
They send a decoy out
because she knows, her husband knows what she's wearing.
Yes.
And so she gets there, she changes clothes, the decoy goes out, the decoy gets killed.
Yeah.
And
the extraction team throws a grenade.
Yes, because they're like, we have to take care of this. We can't let her fall into their hands. And so the decoy gets killed, Vicky gets killed, but she's not there. Semat's not there. And she eventually makes it back to the safe house and gets out. And she's upset with them that they threw the grenade. And it's like, maybe this is why it only got a 7.8. The movie was phenomenal in every way until that point. Yeah. Listen, you knew what you signed up for, and everything was nation above all else. So why did you think that they would not go to the lengths that they did? Yeah. You knew that that was a possibility, and now all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm going to chalk it up to the fact that at this point she's pregnant.
Oh, yes.
And pregnancy hormones
yes.
make you do and say crazy
true?
things. Yes, it's absolutely true. So I think that's why she freaked out so much. And then the movie basically ends. She's kind of sitting in a room, just kind of looking out the window. And then we get back to the scene where they're, at the aircraft carrier, basically, which is where they started the film, talking about the different sacrifices that people make and making reference to her sacrifice.
I'm going to put this film in the Bollywood Top 100.
It was
I thought
really
it was really good. I don't know how many times I felt very stressed out.
Oh, man,
when she's like fumbling around, like, what are you doing, girl?
Very
pull
suspenseful.
It together. It was good.
Her acting and Vicky's acting in this film, I mean, everybody did a great job. There's no question about it. Everybody played their roles well. It was super suspenseful. Even though we knew the outcome, we knew what was going to happen. I also liked how they interspersed real news footage in there.
Yeah,
Love
cool.
when movies do that.
That was good.
But it was super suspenseful. And her and Vicky, man, that was really, really good. I enjoyed it. So I give it an A. What do you give it?
Oh, an A. It's going in Bollywood Top 100.
Everything about it was phenomenal.
It was a great movie.
Yep,
great
good
movie.
job. But Vicky, I prefer when you're the good guy.
And Alia Bhatt, do you ever act bad? So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.